So with that said, every other FHA rule really applies. FHA limits, we know that FHA doesn't have an income limit, so that's good. There's no geographical restrictions. If you live in a high cost FHA area, it's up to whatever that limit is. And, if you had an FHA loan 4 years ago and you haven't owned a house since, you can get another FHA loan. So,
hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Influencers, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry technology, and services to help you be a mortgage influencer in your mortgage business. Okay, so we are live now, and we want to welcome you to this week's episode of Mortgage Influencers. My name's Ginger Bell. I have with me Scott Shen and Steve Richmond, and we have a special guest today. And I am so excited to hear about what Sam is doing because it's important. So if you have questions today, and I'm not sure if the chat is working, Scott, if you're on our Zoom call, if you can let us know. First of all, I want to know as we tee this up a little bit, because we're going to be talking about helping our hero community, which obviously are veterans and our first responders. But let me know what you're doing to serve this community right now. And then also let us know if the Q&A works or if it's just the chat that works, because I'm not sure which one it is, Scott, that did or didn't work the last time.
The chat seems to be working, and it looks like the Q&A works because somebody just popped in there.
Okay, good. So they're both working. Yay, yay, Zoom.
Yay.
And if you're watching us on our stream, you can, of course, post your comments into the section below on Facebook. So let's go ahead and get started. So Scott, this is your guest today, and that's one of the things as hosts that we do invite special guests on to have conversations about what they're doing. So I'm excited to really find out what Sam's doing, but I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce him.
Sure. So, yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I got an announcement from AIM, the Association of Independent Mortgage Experts, and they have a political action committee, and they said, hey, there's this HELPER Act that's out there. And I started doing a little bit of research on it, and I found the bill that came out in 2021. And essentially, it's a proposal to make changes to the FHA guidelines to offer 100% financing FHA loan with no mortgage insurance to police officers, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, and pre-K through 12 teachers. And so I had my marketing hat on, and I went in there and I was like, hey, you guys, I'm so embarrassed about this. My first video was newsjacking the HELPER Act. And it was like, hey, you guys, not only is this, because I'm always talking about niches, I'm always talking about helping the community first and getting business from it. And I thought this is a great opportunity to create content and awareness around this thing. It's not available. And then I had a couple of people kept saying, yeah, Sam is great. Sam is great. So I finally reached out and I found Sam and we connected. And then I learned the story behind the act. And I was just so deeply touched by who he is and what his motivation for this was. I did an interview. It was like we did a 47-minute interview. We posted it in the Facebook group yesterday if you want to really dive deep. But yeah, I wanted to bring him on and really talk about where this came from and how it happened and who it helps and how you can help. Because I think in this market, there are a lot of things we don't have control over. We can't control inventory, we can't control rates, but we can control our prospecting. We can control the content that we put out there and why we do it. And this just checks all of the boxes for me, and I just love everything that it does. So Sam, why don't you go ahead and kind of introduce yourself, how this thing got started, and let's have a conversation about this great effort.
Well, thanks, Scott, for having me. Ginger and Steve, thanks for having me. My name's Sam Royer, and yes, a couple of years ago, I had this crazy BHAG, big hair, audacious goal type of idea to honor those that serve in our community. I'm a Marine veteran, never served in a combat role, And I'm very proud of my service, but many of my friends are law enforcement, firefighters, teachers, and those individuals, unfortunately, they don't get as many benefits as we do as military members or veterans. And over time, it just really hit me kind of hard where I was sitting with somebody and, they were struggling with qualifying. They didn't have a lot of down payment and they didn't have their debt ratio was actually higher. So it really boggled my mind that, especially law enforcement, I lean a lot towards law enforcement, not to take away from anybody else. It's just more where I fit, if you want to call it. And, when I think of law enforcement officers, I had a conversation this morning and this gentleman was talking about his daughter in Atlanta where somebody just shot at somebody, then drove 8 miles and ran into an office building. Well, he said, as he was watching the video in the news, to see all these law enforcement officers drive up, jump out of their cars to run into a building where a guy had a gun, it just takes a lot of, I don't know, and just, it takes a lot of guts. And at the end of the day, the affordability factor, there is a struggle for many of these individuals because, Scott, you and I talked about it a lot. These individuals, they choose not to go into these industries because they're going to be millionaires. They're not choosing to be a teacher because they think, they're going to make $500,000 a year. They do it because of kids. And interesting story, I haven't really told you this, but a lot of times, people love unions. Some people don't love or like unions, right? And a lot of time unions are pro or con different things. Well, for a period of time, a lot of the unions had a negative voice in the media, right? And what happens is everybody gets lumped with that group then. And everybody then, oh my gosh, teachers are horrible. Teachers are horrible. Teachers are horrible. 99.5% of teachers love teaching. They go in, they have kids from kindergarten up to being punk seniors in high school like I was before I went to Marines, and they have to deal with us on a daily basis. And when you think about us as parents, we send our kids, the home that we raise our kids in, we're sending them off to these individuals. And these individuals truly, most of the time have a big heart to serve. And trust me, when they get their paychecks, they're probably not sitting there saying, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, right? So whatever we can do to help them with any kind of aspect of a home ownership, it just, it's very important. And firefighters, you guys are rock stars. You run into places that, fires are burning. You put all that gear on. I'll never forget a competition they have called the RIT competition up in Jacksonville. I absolutely, as I got older in life, got claustrophobic. I put that stuff on, I had the helmet on, and I'm crawling through this little area. And I swear Godzilla jumped out of this box because I freaked out, right? And these guys are probably like, this guy's a Marine. What's wrong with him? But I'll tell you what, they have to go into places that you and I probably never will want to go. And, to honor these individuals with something that honestly doesn't cost the government money, to just sit there and say to the government, back these people up. It didn't seem like so much of an ask, but that's why we're here today. That's why it's now reintroduced into the new Congress. And that's why we need your help.
So let's unpack that a little bit, because I think, and first and foremost, thank you for your service. And you make a great point, because there are so many individuals who serve our countries, our communities, really. So putting a spotlight on helping them get into homeownership is important. And one of the things that I love about this, June is Homeownership Month. So honestly, this is something that just speaks right to that mission of increasing homeownership. Mm-hmm. So if you're watching this, think about it. This is a great topic. Scott, you're always good about, really bringing these kind of topics to our attention and getting to the details of it. So this is something great to talk about. So you introduced the HELPER Act. And so you have put this to where, you have, it's HR 3170. So it's telling me this is a bill that is going before the House. Where are you at in the process, and what can we do to help?
Well, number one, I never ran I did run for office. Actually, I ran for judge years ago, but I never ran for office. So I didn't introduce anything. I was fortunate enough to come across a man named Congressman John Rutherford from Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
He is a retired law enforcement officer of 42 years. So I'm 47. So I was 5, or well, actually, he's been retired for a little while, but he, he served 42 years in the line of duty, and two terms he served sheriff in Jacksonville, Florida. Well, this man became the congressman there, and I went clay shooting with him, and I just pitched him on the fact that, we need help. Law enforcement needs help with getting into homes. And he's like, Sam, twice in my life, I borrowed money from my parents, and this is in the 70s. Now think about it. In the 70s, how much were houses in the 70s? But he said, my first kid and my first house, I borrowed money from my parents. He said, I paid it back, but, I'm all for it. Let's do it, right? So Congressman Rutherford and a couple other congressional leaders back in 2021, introduced the bill back then. Then a couple months later, I happened to come across, and it's a long story we won't get into, but Senator Rubio's office. And I said, hey, you guys know there's this bill out there that Congressman Rutherford from Florida is pushing. Any chance we can get Senator Rubio to push it too? Well, they absolutely loved it. And Senator Rubio is very passionate about homeownership. And so a couple months later, Senator Rubio and Senator Ossoff from Georgia introduced it in the Senate. Now, politics is politics, right? It takes a long time to get something done. Well, fortunately, last Congress, which was the old bills, which if you Google and you see the HELPER Act, if you see HR 3172 or Senate 2981, that is the old legislation, okay? Now, that old legislation got 89 congressmen and women to join on to the bill. We had 17 US senators to join on to the bill, right? We had over 300 national, statewide, and local organizations send letters of support for the bill. But unfortunately, in Washington, sometimes there's gatekeepers that don't allow bills to move forward. So fortunately, this Congress, the 118th Congress, we now have new legislation, HR 3170, which is the House of Representatives bill. And then we have Senate Bill 1514 of the HELPER Act. HELPER, for everybody out there, stands for Homes for Every Local Protector, Educator, and Responder. A lot of people say helpers. It's just HELPER, right? So what this bill does very clearly, and it's really simple, actually. So if you're in the mortgage world, the real estate world, it's a straight up FHA loan, right? The only difference is that if somebody serves at least 4 years in any of those industries, law enforcement, firefighting, education, which is teachers, or EMT and paramedic, they then, if they go to any mortgage lender that's an FHA approved lender, they can get 100% financing. So they don't have the 3.5% down. That's one part of the affordability factor. The second is they don't have a monthly mortgage insurance. That's the second part of the affordability factor. There is an upfront mortgage insurance premium, which right now FHA charges 1.75%. It's most likely going to be around 3%. Okay. The third factor is it's only for 1-unit properties, and you have to be a first-time home buyer. Now, that's a big point, because the last bill wasn't just a first-time home buyer program. It was a one-time use program. That has since changed to a first-time home buyer program, which many of us know. That means you haven't owned a house in the last 3 years. So with that said, every other FHA rule really applies. FHA limits, we know that FHA doesn't have an income limit, so that's good. There's no geographical restrictions. If you live in a high cost FHA area, it's up to whatever that limit is. And, if you had an FHA loan 4 years ago and you haven't owned a house since, you can get another FHA loan. So that's it. It's really simple.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm a Marine. It wasn't rocket science. Trust me.
So all good. Tell me where is it at right now? Is it in the House? Is it in the Senate? Is it in a working group?
It's in both.
Do we need to call our state senators and our state representatives?
So
Because
here's as
it's a good
simple as it
opportunity.
is. I'm going to give you the twofold win here, right?
Okay.
Number one, well, actually, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Do not be a poser. And what I mean by that, guys, there's people, Scott told the story about how he said newsjacking, right? As a Marine, I see Scott. I didn't know him at the time, and we've become pretty good friends since. I saw it. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he's just trying to use this for marketing, right? Guys, by all means, when this bill passes, you will have a new FHA product. Go out and market it to death, right? Go make some money. Go help people get into homes. But right now, what we need call it Marines, soldiers, sailors, whatever it is on the ground, knocking on doors, shaking hands, asking not their state, but their federal congressmen and senators, hey, there's this bill out there. Why aren't you on it yet? You know, if they're not. Now, you asked where it's at. It just got reintroduced in the beginning of May. So that's why you have the HR 3170 in the House or on the Senate 1514. Well, currently, we actually just got some more. We have 47 congressional yeses on the House side. On the Senate side, we have 9. So there's 100 senators. We got 9. So we're almost at 10%. In the House, there's 435 and we have 47. So we're over 10%. So what we need to do, and remember, we only have to get half of those numbers for a bill to pass, right? What we need to do is, as an industry, as an individual, or you don't even have to be in the industry. You can be a teacher, a firefighter, a cop. You can go sell cars for a living. If you believe in the people that serve in our community, call your congressman's office, email your congressman's office, ask them, hey, have you heard about this? And if you have, why haven't you signed on yet? Here's the thing, Ginger, 0 have we gotten kickback. And what I mean by this, we've gotten your general kickback. We don't like government programs. What's the catch? Nobody has come to us and said, this is absolutely horrible and the federal government is going to fail and the world is going to collapse, right? It's more ideology that we got. We had a senator last Senate, very powerful man, but he just didn't like government programs. He just was like, this is a freebie. It's not a freebie. It's literally just a government doing what they've done since 1944 with VA, and they're backing heroes up. I don't like using that word anymore, but they're backing them up, right? That's what they do for me as a Marine. That's what they do for veterans and military members. They're taking this segment of society and they're saying, we got your back. If you foreclose, then the federal government has to pay a bill. But think about it. In the 2000s, how many cops, teachers, well, not 2000, right now, how many cops, teachers, firefighters, and EMTs? We just went through a pandemic. We've been through economic ups and downs. Right now, rates are up, right? Guess what? Those individuals don't lose their jobs much. So the most likely bill they will always pay is their house. So really, if your congressman or senator isn't for it, you as a constituent and as a person has to say why. And if they really don't have a strong reason, then by all means, they really should be on this bill.
That's what I was thinking is that you said, oh, I want you to go out there and talk to people. And a lot of people are going to be hesitant to say, well, what happens? This is a very powerful person. What happens if they say no to me? Forget that. If they say no, you've just learned so much about that person. And now that makes your decision going forward. So why not learn where they stand, understand your own people, and do something good at the same time? No reason to be afraid.
That's not a
Steve, so there's a thing called a Congressional Budget Office. Whenever a bill comes out, they put a price tag on a bill. And they say, that way a congressman and senator can say, okay, you're coming at me with an idea. How much does it cost? Right? So here, HUD and the chairman's office of Senate Banking, Chairman Sherrod Brown, they are actually the ones that recreated the new bill, the HELPER Act, for moving forward, right? Well, here, they actually have numbers in there now. Do you know how much the first year HUD asked for to get this program implemented? Now, to us as common folks, let's call it, human beings, they asked for $660,000. Now, I don't have that in my bank account, but the federal government spending $660,000, is that even, that's like a toilet seat in the White House, right?
Yeah,
that's like a vase in the side of corner, right?
Yeah.
Now,
To make a difference in communities. I mean, really.
Let's get better. Guess how much it'll cost on a yearly basis to run the program for the next 5 to 6 years. And I'm sorry that the last two numbers I forgot. It's like either $120,000 or $160,000 a year.
It's
Now,
160.
yeah, they didn't break it down as far as where that'll go, but my human thought is that that's because they have to hire a couple people. So guess what? We're giving people jobs. This is great, right? It's a home run. Like, we're underhanding a pitch to Aaron Judge. We're sitting there with Joe Montana saying, I'm wide open, throw me the ball. let me score a touchdown and win the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, politics doesn't work that way. You got to convince people. You got to show them why. I've gone up against a lot of individuals that are hard-nosed, and a lot of the staffs are hard-nosed. But, it takes this is where Scott, all of you, Steve, Ginger, all of us coming together, the community that is watching, you are the ones that are going to make this happen. This is not the Sam Royer bill. George McAwee, he is my partner in crime doing all this. It's not his bill. It's nobody's bill. It's a bill for people that serve. It's something that when you look at these individuals and you can say to them square in the face, we love you and we're going to fight for you. I mean, how much better could your life be? So that's what's been fun. And I could talk for Scott and I could talk for hours.
I love it.
Yeah,
So Scott, there's a question I know you want to bring up.
Go ahead.
So
Oh, yeah, I typed it in. Clay asked the question, are there any geographic restrictions? Does the teacher have to live within a certain distance? Absolutely not. This is just straight FHA guidelines. We actually have a YouTube video that I think we can share. We'll post it in the group. And that's actually Marco Rubio and John Rutherford did this video talking about this program. And that's what Rubio said, is he said, the importance of this bill is there's so many of these first responders that can't afford to live in the communities that they serve. So they have to go and live somewhere out in the boondocks where they can afford, because like Sam said, these are public servants. They're on a fixed income. They know how much they're going to make this year. They know how much they're going to make next year. They know what the maximum they're going to max out on their pay scale is if they're a teacher or whatever. Like, they're not rich people that get a lot of money coming in. And I wanted to build on what Steve said too. You can't be afraid to call your representatives. They work for you. You're not a call, you're a constituent. You are a vote, yes or no, whether they get to keep their job. So like, they're required to listen to us when they're not going to say, no, I don't respond to this. They're going to say, thank you for your,
oh,
They're going to say, thank you for letting me know and giving me that information and continuing to drive it forward. Sorry, Scott.
No, I think the win here is that if every congressman and senator can't go a day or a week without hearing the HELPER Act from somewhere, then we're going to be successful. And all of you guys out there that are listening to this, we talk about being influencers, we talk about being Homeownership Month. Go to the local police station, talking to the police chiefs. We had this question one time when Sam and I were having this conversation in front of another group of people. And they were like, well, what is the police chief care? They're making a lot of money. It's retention. They want their employees living in the communities that they serve. So and I'm going to also point out the obvious. 2024 is an election year, right? And this country, there's not a lot for politicians to brag about right now. So they need a win. And like, put that in your backpack and take that on your journey to start talking to these people, because like,
nope.
Your
internet's going in and out a little bit, Scott.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That means I need to shut
Hey,
up.
real quick. So Clay, you asked a question, the main difference between Senate 1514 and House 3170. The only difference is one's in the House, one's in the Senate. They actually model each other, which is not always the case. And that's called bicameral. I'm learning as I go. That means a bill is moving in both the Senate and the House at the same time, like a railroad track, right? Many times you'll have a bill in the Senate, it'll go through, and then the House has to come up with it. We were fortunate. I mean, the leadership of Marco Rubio, Congressman Rutherford, really, they truly championed this cause. Senator Ossoff and Bonnie Watson-Coleman from New Jersey, they really did a lot. So now, to beat it up in committee, you asked. So the cool thing, this is what's awesome about right now. So I mentioned Chairman Sherrod Brown. He is the chairman. He is basically the the head. Well, he's the head guy. He gets to do whatever he wants in his committee. He is on the bill. He is a lead on the bill now. Scott said he's up for reelection, right? The thing is he wants this to pass. I believe he truly believes in teachers, firefighters, people that serve, and he decided to join the fight. In fact, his office is the one that called us, and I think it was January, called my partner George and said, hey, we would like to get behind this. Well, when you got the head guy saying that, that's huge. So the Senate side, we should be pretty good. On the House side, if you live in North Carolina, Chairman McHenry, he is the one that really controls that side. We need everybody reaching out to his office, because at the end of the day, if he chooses for it not to go anywhere, unless we get 218 Congress people to sign on the bill, it won't go anywhere in the House, even if the Senate passes. Now, there's back ways of doing things, but we'd rather just go through both, get to the president's desk, get it signed. It'll take FHA a little while to get it implemented, but once it does, it has 5-year life. We show FHA that this truly is a viable product. We get it reintroduced. Good questions.
Ginger,
I
your
just typed
mic's
in-
on.
I just typed in the answers to up, and Ginger's doing the list of the senators, and I'm sending in the actual bills where you can find that.
Yeah, so a couple of things, and I think we'll put together some talking points. Scott, a couple of people I think we should talk to. Eddie Perez is one, because Eddie served as president for the Mortgage Action Alliance, and that is a huge force
That's
of
really good.
people to get behind bills like this. So I think we need to introduce Sam and Eddie. If you don't, Sam, already know Eddie Perez. Eddie Perez is the president of Equity Prime Mortgage. And he is the incoming president for the MBA. And then I think we should also get you connected with NAM, same thing. So getting those boots on the ground, people who
NAM
know.
already, are you talking about NAMB?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already, they've already engaged. I think they actually sent out a letter of support to the groups and stuff. So they're
Perfect.
engaged. They're a great group.
Yeah. And
Amy-
I didn't know
Amy-
Eddie was
Amy-
incoming
Amy
president of
helped out.
MBA. So yeah, we can get it. We need to talk to Eddie. He's a
I
really
think
good
get Eddie
friend.
involved, and then
Yeah.
also NAREP. I think if we can get NAREP, any of the associations, we can get involved to be able to help get the word out. And then talking points. So I think probably if we can get a list, Sam, of talking points for calling the senators to be
Yeah.
able to do that. And then talking points, just kind of put together action items. I love the idea of going and talking to, a local, think about if you went and talked to the local teachers association, to, the local
Fire
firefighters
departments.
association, all of those things. And June Homeownership Month, guys, the alignment of this is perfect. So
Yeah.
let's put some scripts together. We'll put some talking points together. We'll get some lists. And guys, as an industry, get behind this, because it is through working together that we're able to make a difference and make an impact. And how cool would it be to this time next year to be able to say, okay, we helped to get this bill through,
It's right
thank
here.
you for
Yep.
starting it. And we're providing an
That's what-
opportunity.
And that's what you're known for in your community, because
Yeah.
you talk to everybody you could about this bill and ask for them to reach out to their representatives.
Yep. Yeah, Crystal, we need to shout this loud and clear to everyone. We all know teachers, police, everything. Think about videos to make. You can make videos about it. I'm flying out to Dallas tomorrow, and I have a lot of workshops I'm doing. I'll reach out to people there as well. You have that connection within your local communities. Don't sit by the wayside. Seriously, you guys, this is the perfect time for you to lean into who you are and your influence and making a difference. Make a video about it. If you do a podcast, talk to invite your senators on. Hey, in honor of June Homeownership Month, there's a bill in the Senate and the House. Very unusual for it to be in both at the same time, because usually it goes back and forth forever. So good on your leadership, your group, Sam, for getting that.
Thanks.
But I think there's huge opportunities. So I encourage all of you to step up. and to lean in and don't just sit by the wayside, but to make a difference. We will give you the talking points. Scott, let's put that together. Sam, if we need to get on a call. Steve, you're great at doing this. So
can I just say this, Ginger, because this is all you, and I know, and Sam, I'm trying to promote here, right? But what we find every single week is people say, what can I do? How do I get more video? And how do I do this? Folks, if you go and put a teacher on video, if you go and put a firefighter on video and say, right now, here's a bill number, and we're trying to help these people get houses. This is what you need to do. What great video content that you're now creating to get out there. So yes, call all the people, but you can also create videos to help that happen. Because I know we talk about that all the time on here.
Yeah.
There's another action item.
exactly.
Don't have commission breath, have cause breath. This is a good cause to get behind.
I love
Support it.
Yeah, don't be a poser.
that.
There'll be enough time to get business behind this, but right now, the people that are out there marketing to try and get leads, think about a cop walking up to your door, right? And you just got pulled over. They're going to know from your attitude if you're really you're obviously upset that they're there because you did something wrong, but you either have the attitude to be cool about it or you have the attitude to not be cool, right? This is the same thing. They can read whether or not you're just trying to get a sale or you're trying to win a heart. And right now we need heart wins. We don't need sales wins.
I love
Sales will
that.
come.
Yep. I love that. Very good. Okay. So Sam, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Honored to meet you. And, maybe we can, Scott, I know you're good. I'm traveling tomorrow, but if we can hop on, do some other videos, let's get some action items and let's get this moved through and get it passed because we can make a difference. So
Yep.
Yeah, we'll throw a
remember,
big party in Washington. Boom.
yeah, I love that. I'm in, all in. Okay, great. For those of you who are watching, thank you so much. And
Yeah,
remember to go out there and make a difference, make a video, and be involved in your community. So we'll see you all next
Thanks.
week.
See you guys.
Everybody.
Have a great one.
Bye.